Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Sonia Byrne. I'm the Executive Director for Centers for Spiritual Living. Did we all want to say good morning? It feels like a bit of a celebration, a Sunday celebration even. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so wonderful to be back, hashtag IRL, in real life. So I don't want to deny you an opportunity to say good morning like that collectively, because what we're here to talk about, what we're here to learn about, what we're here to hear the story about today is all about being back together and being that collective energy. So thank you everyone for being here. We're going to start with our agenda, which starts as we always begin. So I'd like to welcome Reverend Dr. Edward Fillion, our CSL spiritual leader, to open us in prayer.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Reverend Sonia. And welcome, let me add my welcome to this auspicious occasion. It is auspicious for us because we are in real life, and it is the very first time that our executive team have met in person, and we're experiencing each other in 3D. It's really wonderful. Yeah, so that's a wonderful thing for us. I want to welcome you to the Centers for Spiritual Living home office here in Golden, Colorado, for those people who are watching us online so that they know where we are speaking to them from. And if you are online, please do let us know where you are watching from. And I also want to welcome you who are here in person, and how lovely it is to see faces and hear people responding and applause. I can barely stop smiling. It is so wonderful. Before we have our prayer, I want to say welcome to some of our guests. I mentioned our executive team. The chair of the Leadership Council, Dr. David Alexander, sitting right there. And our field leader, Reverend Sunday Cote, is next to him. And our executive director, Reverend Sonia Byrne. And also want to acknowledge Gary Schrenk, the former Science of Mind Foundation director, is right over here. Welcome. And I believe we're expecting Nagesh Anupindi, the founder and CEO of Purva, is here with us. Well, I want to acknowledge him anyway for the... He's walking in right now.
Yes.
Nagesh, we were just welcoming you, so this is a perfect time to enter. That's the kind of entrance I like to make. I want to walk through. And also the Mile High Peace Crane team, and we will hear from Sandra Fo in a moment to share a bit about that project. Now, it's my duty to say that Centers for Spiritual Living is inspired by a vision of a world that works for everyone. I have to say that wherever I am. And we call that vision the global vision, and it is founded in this idea of one absolute and universal goodness. And that has so much to do with what we're doing today. So to set the tone for our prayer, I want to read a quote from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, that speaks about that universal goodness. Peace, he writes, comes from the absence of fear, from a consciousness of trust, from a deep underlying faith in the absolute goodness and mercy of life, from the final integrity of the universe in which we live, and of every cause to which we give our thought, our time, and our attention. So let us give our thought, time, and attention then to that one underlying universal goodness now. So I invite you to breathe in with me. And as you exhale, let your eyes close. And because we are a welcoming presence for people of every faith tradition, I invite you now, each one of us, according to our own tradition, to let our thoughts go to that which is the source of all things. And in this moment, I recognize that there is no word or quality or idea that can capture that which is infinite. So I let the words infinite, eternal, everywhere present, all powerful point to that which can never be located because it is everywhere present. And I identify with it as part of it. And I do that for everyone here, inviting each person here to feel our shared kinship through this one everywhere present power. And in so doing, we amplify this feeling of one absolute goodness, not only around us, not only in our project today, but living through our own lives, amplifying itself through the goodness and the truth and the beauty that we speak and create and share. This is worth celebrating. So I let myself feel a deep joy for that which is happening now and every good thing that will and does come from these words spoken. And this is the way of things, that as we speak in prayer, it is done. So I invite you to say with me, and so it is. And it is my pleasure to welcome back our Executive Director, Reverend Sonia Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott. So like many special or memorable days in our lives, in our time on the planet, we remember where we were when things happened. Do you remember where you were when you realized in that moment that our entire planet was about to be gripped with a pandemic and that we knew that life would change? We didn't know what was going to happen the next day, the next moment. And we knew that things were just never going to be the same. We were ill-equipped for it. We didn't have the background. We hadn't had experience. The vast majority of us on the planet at this time have never experienced what we are at this moment coming out of. So as I watch the faces of the people in the room, and I know for the people online, you're going to that place of memory, that place of where you were. I was in Target, and I was grocery shopping, and I had my earbuds in listening on the phone to the governor of California, who held a faith leaders session the day before Governor Paulus had his faith leader session. How do we handle this? What are we going to do? And I remember going up and down the aisle, picking up things in my shopping cart and watching other people pick up things in their shopping cart and then go back and pick up more things. And I watched shelves become empty, and I'm walking around the store with my earbuds in, and in an attempt to create order in a very disorderly experience, the announcer said, okay, we're going to take our questions alphabetically. And after 90 minutes, they were at C, because there were so many questions and so many faith leaders on how do we be with our communities and how do we lead. And I haven't been here, and what does it mean? And I have a congregation, a community, a focus ministry, a teaching chapter to take care of. And I don't know that I have the skills to do that, and I haven't done this before. So we all entered into this place. I was in Target. You have your own places where you remember where it became very real. I remember making my way home, dropping my groceries, getting off that call, calling the executive team for a quick meeting and saying, folks, this is going to change. We're going to have to get ready. And so we each went off into our areas and did our things, knowing that the next day we would meet. I called Reverend Nicole Mergis, head of our spiritual development education. She's remembering this call now as I'm watching her face. And I said, we're going to have to do some tech training. It's like Wednesday. We're going to have to do some tech training this weekend. Our communities are going to go online, many of them for the very first time. And what we had was this deluge of service and offerings and volunteers. We had the facilitators for our Advance and Thrive technology series hop on with our community leaders the next day. And they stayed on until everyone had their questions answered. And then they did it again the next day. No one talked about, how long this was going to take or their schedule or compensation or anything like that. We all just were in the spirit of helping each other. And the following morning, I got up and made my coffee like I do in my apartment in Lakewood, Colorado here. And I thought, what's going to happen to our musicians? Oh my gosh, they're just about to lose all their contracts. And I thought, we can do music. We can do music from Zoom. We can do music from Facebook. So I called our director of music, our music director in Calgary, Alberta, Amy Bishop. And I said, Amy, I got a crazy idea. Can you be up for this? She said, I'm listening. And I said, what if we do concerts from our couch to yours? And you start on the weekend. Can you get some people together? And we came up with 9 names. And I said, I'll go to the office and we'll get the marketing started. We'll do like a dog on a couch. It's going to be very lovely for people to see, very welcoming. We'll call it the Cozy Couch Concert Series. She said, okay. By 2:00, she'd call me. All 9 of those musicians were in. They didn't know what that meant. Many of them broadcasted the very first concert ever that they then ended up doing, many of them for 15, 16 months in that Cozy Couch Concert Series. They started by doing this, awkward experience on Facebook Live. We had some real fun stuff happen, memorialized because it's on Facebook Live. And what we had in the past year and a bit is a space for grace with each other. That perfection wasn't the aim in the moment, but care was the aim. And it became every community leader's job to provide a place for hope, that we could continue to be together and that we could be hopeful for what was about to come, not knowing what was about to come, and none of us being in this scenario together. So because we had so much happen from home office to try to help the field, to provide services and products for them, we received a lot of thanks. We would come in and there would be boxes of cookies that had arrived. We had a very scary box of chocolates arrived that were in dry ice that we had to put gloves on to open and stand back. And I thought, oh my gosh, someone sent us a fish. I was so delighted that it was chocolates inside. And we were sent t-shirts. I was sent slippers. Like we were cared for and we were thanked because we were all in this together. So as we began to emerge from this experience, and we're still in a very tender place, there's still some unknowns. We thought, how can we honor the whole organization and recognizing that this spot in time, we are all together and we are all emerging into whatever is next. We talk about this new normal. There's nothing normal about right now, but it certainly is new and lots of new and then some more new. So we got to thinking what we could do. And we have the great opportunity here at home office that we have a chapel downstairs. I regularly go and sit and contemplate, ask Ernest Holmes some questions like, what did you get me into? I'm the executive director. Give me some guidance. And I got this visual of all of our communities taking flight out of this experience, but together. And how could we make that happen? And I remembered seeing a very beautiful peace crane ministry and all of the various peace crane designs down at Mile High Church here in Lakewood, Colorado. And I thought, I wonder if they will do something. So I went in on a Sunday and found Ken McNamara and said, I've got this idea. And he looked at me the same way that some of the staff look at me when I walk into an office here at home office, and they're like, what kind of crazy idea does she have for me now? And he said, we think we can do this. I'm going to get Paul. He's an engineer. We're going to come up and hear this idea. So they came up and they actually drew it out and gridded it because Paul is an engineer. And they gridded it out and they made a design, and then they found the way to make it possible. So I know that Sandra's going to come up and tell a bit more of that story. We have some wonderful visuals on csl.org. If you'd like to take a look, we have a time-lapse video, and you'll see these very long extended fishing poles with a MacGyvered item that was elastic banded and such on the ends that got all of the cranes up in through the loops of the netting. But this was a project of hope. And so when we came up with the names and put it out to our constituents, we got very clearly that Emerging in Oneness is the name of this peace crane sculpture. So today we have the beautiful experience together in real life to bring this sculpture into being in an official manner here at the Unveiling. So I'll ask Sandra to come up and pick up where I've left off here to tell us a bit about the Peace Crane Ministry and this experience of working with us here at home office. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Reverend Sonia for her vision and letting us be a part of it. And for Paul to make it come true. And then I'd also like to thank everybody up here at CSL. Everybody has been so nice. They fed us, they welcomed us. Reverend Phil has helped keep the net, put the net up, and also to keep it up. Paul, Matt, and Ken, they've hung all of these cranes, and they've also gone up and down the stairs quite a few times because some of these cranes didn't want to be hung. They wanted to go for a fly. So they did down below. So they made many trips up and down. And I'd also like to thank all the other craniologists that helped us with this. It's been so great to be back together and have a project to work on. And I'd also like to thank Reverend Shannon O'Hurley. She's the one that got us started on this. When she started the interfaith ministry at Mile High Church, the Peace Cranes were a part of that group. And we've sent cranes all over the world, actually. And this is our second biggest project. Our first one was we were given a challenge in 2016 to fold a crane for every gunshot death in the United States in 2015. There was no way as a group we were going to fold that many cranes because it was a big project. And so the entire congregation at Mile High Church got together and helped us. And on the last Sunday of Season of Nonviolence in 2017, we had 33,215 cranes hanging in the sanctuary. So again, I'd just like to say thank you for letting us be a part of this. And anybody got any ideas or need some cranes, we can help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. The beautiful vision that you've been able to fulfill. Thank you for this. So I'm Reverend Sunday Cote. I'm the new field leader for Centers for Spiritual Living. And so it's my great privilege and honor to connect and work with and support and love our communities, our members in all kinds of different ways. And so it's really wonderful, as has been mentioned, this is the first time we've been together in person and in our home office. And so it's just a beautiful time to come and be a part of this beautiful unveiling of this very symbolic sculpture. And I want to share a little bit about the symbology of it and how it connects us all. And so I want to share a little story. About 7 years ago, a single minister in our field had an idea. He realized that every year he and his community had to come up with a theme for the year. And every month he had to come up with a theme for the month and put talks out. And he had an idea one day. He thought, I'm not the only minister doing this. And wouldn't it be great if we collaborated? Wouldn't it be great if we came up with a yearly vision and we got together and each, different ministers did outlines and we had a theme, and then all of us in our communities would be able to share this theme. And that we're very we're very individual group. And so that went over for some, and others like, oh, I'm an individual. I'm going to do what I want to do. And so, but it caught on because people realized that this was a good idea and that it was helpful. I know I used it, and I wrote a talk for the very first year, and it was about our global vision. We all kind of talked about our global vision, and the single minister that had that vision was our current spiritual leader, Dr. Edward Filion. And so this all connects because we started connecting as communities and having a theme. And then at some point, a couple of years ago, I think 2019, Reverend Sonia had the idea about, hey, we're writing all this stuff. We have these great quotes. Why don't we create a journal? And she shared with me that it kind of came from an idea of seeing people, with their notebooks on their mat laps and taking notes. And I remember the first year we did it, we gave it to my community, and they were very loyal every week coming with the journal. And so we all had our journals, and we all had the same quotes. And then I would go online on Facebook, and I'd see this title, all these different centers, the same title, and all this connection. And so 2020, we had a journal, and I wrote a talk for the theme. And I can tell you, when I was writing that talk for 2020 in 2019, I wasn't thinking, I wonder how this will stand up if we have a pandemic. How will this talk really work? And what was so beautiful, and this is this connection, this divine intervention, is that I can tell you that every week, those titles had significance, and the quotes, and all the things that we were going through, and we would talk and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this title was picked a year ago, and here it is, just so perfect for what all our communities are going through. And so it created again this bond, this connection, and this collaboration. And we were having those conversations of like, how do we do this? Someone said, we didn't have Pandemic 101 in ministerial school. How do you deal with that? So again, there's this theme, right, of collaboration and connection and support and coming together. And then this journal, this 2020 journal, is the paper that is being used for these cranes. And so when I look at the sculpture, I see a vision, an idea of one minister who created and expanded our collaboration, our love, our support for each other. I see the individual communities, the communities that all were surviving and moving through it and going through it. And then I see our teaching. I see our words. And every single one of those cranes has a quote by Dr. Ernest Holmes, has a quote from, has a theme that we all took through 2020. And so what a beautiful idea. The individuality, the collaboration of our community, and then this beautiful global symbology of the peace crane. We all know it. It's been all over the world, right? All over the world, there are peace cranes. And so we see that, and we're like, oh, we recognize that global symbology, and we recognize the movement and the loving of the word, that emerging into oneness. And so there's so many layers to this beautiful sculpture. And so, thank you, Reverend Sonia, for having that vision, and Dr. Edward for having this evolve, because our global themes now is, people are like, hey, where are our themes? Because we have materials and marketing and journals and all kinds of wonderful things. So it is all there. And so I'm so grateful to be here today to witness this in person, to see this movement and this emergence. And so right now we get the honor of cutting the ribbon, ceremonial ribbon. And so I'll ask the rest of the executive team to join me, and we will do this.
Coming in?
Yeah,
Coming in.
Can you do it?
Beautiful, isn't it? So I'm David Alexander, chair of the leadership, current chair of the Leadership Council. And a few pieces I want to share with you before I do a closing prayer and let you know that our kitchen is open with refreshments. Our archives are open downstairs for tours. And I'll re-emphasize those things in just a moment. I was first connected to the story of the Peace Cranes back in, I think, 1997. It was 96 or 97. I believe it was a significant anniversary of 50th, I believe, of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And there was a statue that was built by children from all over the world. They used Play-Doh and they created animals and flowers and all kinds of things. And a sculptor collected all those pieces, used them to create forms, and then poured in cast iron, and then created a big giant globe. And the continents of the world are all made from those cast iron Play-Doh sculptures made by children from those continents. The statue was intended to be placed in Los Alamos as a dedication of peace and adorned with thousands of peace cranes folded by school children all over the world as a symbol for and a prayer for peace and an end of war in the world. You might imagine in 1997 collective consciousness for healing and to kind of open that wound a bit in Los Alamos. They weren't quite ready for that. So they rejected the statue coming to the city. So we did the dedication of it in Santa Fe at the Capitol. Fast forward a number of years later, my ministry in Oregon for 15 years for Season for Nonviolence. We had a practitioner, Allison Hilber, who started a Peace Crane ministry. And we did about 10,000 Peace Cranes and did a big installment in our sanctuary. Assistant minister of mine that was overseeing our practitioner program and overseeing that ministry was Reverend Shannon O'Hurley, who then went to Mile High, brought the Peace Crane ministry there, and now we're all back here. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? I think that's pretty cool. So talk about remember where you were. And so just a few thank yous we've said this several times, but we want to again recognize all the people who helped make this possible. Our preparations in the building for this day, Reverend Phil Tapp, wave when you hear your name, Reverend Stephanie Stewart, who's the new senior minister at CSL Parker. Yeah. Of course, the craniologist team, and all the wave hands, all the craniologist team from our ministry. Our on-site team and staff, Chaplain Dr. Raina Putter, Shotzi McManus, Carrie Johnson. Yeah, keep going. Linda Summers, Maria Garcia, Dar Hertford, thank you. And the next regular, Reverend Laura Hallett, Reverend Nicole Mergers, Reverend James Pete, Reverend Barbara Drew, the Global Services Coordinator, Reverend Martha Quintana. Photographs today by Ted Penberthy. Science of Mind Foundation, Michael Schlup. Kimberly McGinnis. Science of Mind Magazine, Holly Sharp. Mark Harvey. Marlena Perez. And not here in the room, but directing all of our online traffic, camera operating and coordinating from Riverside, California, Michelle Geyer. Yeah. Get them all right? Maria Garcia. I said Maria Garcia. Maria Garcia again. All right. So let's just take in a deep breath. As we feel the emergence of this idea called oneness, as you visually see and move around the atrium here and take pictures with these beautiful peace cranes, you'll notice that They're not all at the same height or altitude. They're not all facing the same direction. They're not all in the same place, but they are part of one thing. They're part of one movement. They're part of one idea. The inspiration behind the peace cranes, the phrase, if you know the story, I will write peace on your wings, and you will fly all over the world. And so each of these cranes has peace written on its wings. It has prosperity written on its wings. It has wholeness written on its wings. It has the vibration of our teaching and our movement from Ernest Holmes and all of the leaders down the line to present day. Every center and teaching chapter and focus ministry and practitioner and member and minister, every person who comes through our doors or encounters our teaching online or wherever it is, finds the magazine at Barnes & Noble or in an airport or a hotel. They touch this thing that we all hold in common, a vibration of wholeness, and we together emerge in oneness. So with great gratitude for this day, for all of the hands that have put this together, and for the ways in which this will lift hearts and minds as they walk in the building and spark that idea of oneness within each one of us, we give thanks. We simply allow it to be. And together we say, so it is. Quick reminder again, refreshments in our kitchen. Archives are open downstairs. If you haven't been down there, please go down there. Kathy will, our director of our archives, will give you tours. And anything else? That's it. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.